We're live.
Dance party here at Mothers of Real Estate.
Mamas. Hey, mamas. How you doing today?
We're good.
Good. And put the fingers up. Where are you at? Probably like an 8.
I'm a 10 because I did my hair and makeup today.
All right. Well, that counts. Welcome, guys, for another week of Moms of Real Estate. We're so happy you are joining us. Today, we have a special guest, Nina Ferraro. She is out in the Midwest, Minnesota?
Wisconsin.
I'll
say my because I sound very Wisconsin. It's Kenosha, Wisconsin.
Kenosha. Nina has made productivity her life's passion. She's also a rehabber. Her and her husband rehab houses, and I got to know her through the 7-figure flipping world. She actually was a member of 7-figure flipping at one point, so we're all connected here. And she did a just kick-ass podcast with Bill at the beginning of this year about productivity. That it was cool because it was like the first time that I had heard someone speak my language. Your wavelength is very similar to my wavelength, and it helped crystallize a lot of
you speak Becca's language?
Oh,
that's
yeah.
crazy. Crazy talk.
We're like best friends.
Love it. Oh my God, sorry I interrupted.
No, so she has a company, Boldly & Co. They do productivity planning and coaching, and I'm just excited for her to be here because some of the stuff that I've taken from your teachings, Nina, have really just super improved my life. So welcome. Why don't you introduce yourself, give a little background?
Yeah, well, as Becca said, I'm from Wisconsin, and I probably sound very Wisconsin to everyone out there. But no, my husband and I have a flipping and holdings company. So we do renovations, and we also have numerous rental properties. We have 2 little ones who are amazing, Rome and Stasha. And on top of that, I run Boldly & Co. And so Boldly & Co. is, as Becca had mentioned, it's a company that's focused primarily on helping other businesses or leaders with planning and productivity. And ultimately, it's something that I had to learn and teach myself in the corporate world after kind of being dissatisfied with what I wasn't learning there and what I wanted to learn for myself and for my team. And I said, you know what, this is good stuff. But this is what I want to do for the rest of my life is help maximize other people or make businesses better. So turned it into a business.
I love it.
Yeah.
And I liked it. Last week, we spent a little bit of time at the beginning of the podcast, whatever we call this, the video, just kind of going around and saying, what's going on in your world this week? How are you doing? Can we do that again? I liked that. Peely, yes. You want to start?
Well, I just had the best conversation that I can't tell you guys about. So there's that.
Oh, I know what that conversation was.
You probably know what that conversation is. Awesome conversation. A conversation that I've been waiting for. But I want to say it, but I'm not going to because I can't. Okay, so we're going to go to the beach. We just had our anniversary this week. So
how many years?
Well, we've been 4 years married, 8 years together, or almost 8 years together. And we've known each other since 2003. So I guess that counts too, right? Mm-hmm. So we're going to go to the beach, take some time away from our house, away from outside of our house, because we're working at home, we're playing at home, we're teaching at home. We have a lovely house, and I love my house. I do, but it'll be nice to get out of it and go to the beach.
Is it just you and taking the kids with you?
It's just going to be me. Just me. I'm leaving Jason here with the kids. We're all going.
We rented
a beach house.
That's funny.
You and Jason and the kids, or you're leaving the kids home?
Yeah. Yes. Me and Jason and the kids. So I'm super excited about that. Of course, I'm in pack the car mode. What's all the things that we're going to need for 3 kids and 2 adults and who knows what else. But it's an amazing day. So I feel blessed. It's been a great week. And that's the big thing this week that I've been thinking about is just this beach semi-vacation.
Love it.
That's my day.
Melissa, what about you?
Fun. Well, I'm better this week than I was last week, so that's a win.
One sec. Stephanie is not here. She's MIA. Did you not do gratitude affirmations with her? Because we might need to send out the SOS party.
I know. I texted her. Actually, she and I talked last week, and that's part of kind of like we kind of made each other feel better. It was really like I think we talked for like an hour or so, just kind of we're going through a lot of similar things, and so that was really helpful just to hop on a call with her and talk some of that stuff through. And yeah, so this week's been better. I've been super productive, which is good, and what else? Getting ready for homeschool next week. So yeah, good.
Do you feel prepared? Like as prepared as you're going to be for homeschool?
I mean, yeah, as prepared as I can be, I guess. We literally I just looked in my email and I just got the whole sign up thing for the online stuff because they're rolling out a whole new platform, I guess, for all this stuff that connects all the other things that they were using before. Because my kids are using like Echo and Seesaw and Google Hangouts or Google Meet or whatever that thing is. And it was just like all over the place. So hopefully this is way more organized, but we start on Monday or Tuesday. I should know that. And I still don't know who their teachers are. We don't have schedules yet. So it's kind of crazy, but I'm just going to roll with it.
When you say homeschool, do you mean virtual through your school district? Mm-hmm. Okay. Got it.
Yeah. I don't have the patience to be like a full-on teacher myself. I have some friends actually, I don't know about y'all, but here, because we have the option of remote learning or sending them in person. But I found that several of my friends are actually like fully going homeschool now. They're not even sending their kids back to school at all. They're doing total homeschool curriculum, everything. I'm not that brave. So
yeah, I did think about it because of the whole like 2 to 3 hours worth of schoolwork versus them being in front of a computer for 7, but I'm not that brave either.
Yeah. And I was looking at kind of, because we talked about that last week about them being in front of a screen all day. And from what I've seen in our school district, they're kind of mixing it up. So it's all day, but they don't have to be in front of the computer all day. So they've got, like instructional learning for a certain amount of time. And then there's breaks in between for them to do the work or whatever. So it's not a constant sitting in front of the screen all day. So we'll see how it goes.
I don't know about you guys, but I'm kind of ready just for like the school to start. Like it's been enough build up and anticipation. Like let's just do this and figure it out. That's where I'm at.
Yeah.
Nina, what about you? What's going on in your world these days?
Ooh, well, I have since March when kind of everything COVID-19 started changing things around us. I feel like I've really managed my stress and my anxiety very well. So in Boldly, we like do a lot of teaching on how that is not productive. So I've been using our tips and tricks and like doing my best to like keep it together. But I will say in the last week, I have started to feel a little bit anxious because the lack of structure. Kids are always here. I love them very much, but they are just always here. But also our school district flip-flopped. We a couple weeks ago had received the information that our school district was 100% virtual, and a frustration about that, very loud public frustration about that from some parents, and the entire school board flip-flopped and said, no, now parents will have a choice. So we had prepared for one way, and now we're kind of at the point where we have to make a decision, and I'm not really sure what the best decision is for our family and the people that we surround ourselves with. So we're kind of in the middle right now, which I do not care for feeling like I'm in the middle. I just want a decision and want to go forward. So that's where I'm at.
We tell our kids to be so adaptable and go with the flow, but they're making us parents look bad right now. Yeah. We're all stressing out.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, luckily I don't think my kids have an idea of how my husband and I are feeling about it. They're just kind of immune to it right now, thank goodness. But yeah, I imagine, some parents I think are in a really hard spot no matter which way you go with it. So I feel for a lot of people out there right now.
Crazy. So Becca, how are you doing?
I'm really good now. The beginning of this week I was struggling. And because I went to an event last weekend that was amazing, but I tried to shut down from everything. So I had 3 days of like not getting it done, and I didn't spend time with my kids. So then I had guilt there, but then I had to get the work done on Monday, Tuesday. So it's funny because I was talking to Bill before this, and I said, I reached down, we all start to like work like control freaks. And I reached this point on Tuesday where I called Bethany, my assistant in the membership department, and I was like, I need help. Like, can we just go through my email? And because I was holding on to all this stuff, like I had all these to-dos building up. And I was like, I have a really capable person on my team that I don't know why I wasn't asking for help. And then Peely, to your point, and Nina, to your point about like the kids being home all the time and stuff going up and you're going to the beach. My husband, I keep calling him Grumpy Cat. We've had a couple of weeks where he's just been like in a funk. And I think it's because he's an introvert. People are in his space nonstop. So last night I was like, why don't you and I'll find someone to take the kids. We're just going to go away this weekend. Just the two of us. So I am excited. I think we're going to the beach too.
Yay.
Nice.
Yeah, I guess my husband and I did the same thing. His name's Mitch. We scheduled a little date for ourselves because we were like, we gotta get out of here.
Yeah, Becca, I thought you said you were going to send Matt on his own mini vacation.
Sometimes I do that. Like sometimes I will take the kids and we'll go away for a couple days to give him a mental reset. But I probably need it too. So it'd be nice. So that's where we're at. So cool. Nina, how about you unpack some of the life lessons that you've learned about productivity, especially when it comes like we have the moms of real estate.
Guess who's here? Guess who's here? Guess who's here?
Stephanie. I'm like, she has a question. She has to pee. Why?
There are so many children streaming on our internet that I had some difficulty. There's so many Zoom calls. So anyway, I figured it out. I'm sorry.
Hi, Stephanie.
We blamed Melissa. We said that she didn't do enough gratitude dumps with you, and that was why we wanted here.
I tried to tell them. I told them about our awesome call we had last week.
Yeah.
We were able to just like pull both each other out of the bleh.
Love it. You guys are my tribe.
So we were just about to jump into everything that is awesome and Nina, but I guess after we talk about Nina, we'll go back to you, Stephanie, and see how you're doing.
Okay.
Awesome. All right, Nina, tell us what the moms of real estate need to know about controlling their world.
Well, I would say that probably the biggest thing that you can do right now is give yourself some flex, which is not normally my way. Normally my way is like, have a plan, be disciplined, stick to the plan. But right now I would say like the number one thing that's working for me is I have a plan. I have a list. I know what I'm trying to achieve within a week, but I've just had to give myself like a lot of flexibility and a lot of grace to say, like, being at my peak or being, perfect in my mind of what I want to get done. It's just not possible. And honestly, that's one of the most productive things you can do right now because a lot of times it's human nature to spend a lot of energy thinking about what you didn't get done, what's not going well, what you don't know, what you can't, all this stuff. And it's like, we're all kind of in the same boat right now of there's a lot of unknowns. There's a lot of strange things that we can't really have control of like we normally would. And that's honestly the best thing that I can tell people right now is to give yourself some flex.
So tell me what that looks like on your planner. Like you live and breathe by the planner so much so that you designed one that we can all enjoy. I love it so much.
Yeah, check out Boldly & Co. people if you want to see one that's designed planner.
It's legit. So tell me, like, how much space are you giving yourself between your events? Like, what does flex look like in like an applicable way? How are you scheduling your day?
Yeah, I would say what I'm focusing a lot more on. So I do a brain dump at the beginning of each week or the end of the week prior. And I'm just writing out far less. So what I'm doing instead is like I'm choosing fewer priorities. I'm having to be a little bit more selective, like what is really the most important. And then during my week, normally I don't plan out like every spare minute I think I'm going to have. I plan out like 75% of the time. Well, now I've been reducing that to like 50%. So kids are around all the time. Things seem to be changing all the time. Renovations, little things with renovations I find are more difficult, like getting materials. So tasks that I normally know exactly how long they're going to take are taking longer or taking more steps. So I just plan out about 50% of my time. And that means I just have to be more selective, like what's really important. Another thing that I'm doing is I've been shutting my email and notifications off, and I don't look at them or pay attention to them until I get that priority done, or like whatever it is that I'm seeing is like the most strategic, important thing done that day or that week. I can't even.
So wait, did you shut off all your notifications all the time, or you like do not disturb?
I normally do not get any social media notifications or email notifications. I can see, like on my phone that I have a new email, but by the little icon, I don't get notifications for that. But what I've started to do is when I'm working on a priority, I'm typically at my laptop. So I have just shut down email right there. So I'm not seeing it and reacting to it all the time because I don't have the time to react right now. So it's like I have to just be so focused, and it's just taking it like another level of discipline that, sometimes you don't have to be at that level of discipline every day, but that's like what it's taking right now. So
yeah, it's so true.
Yeah. And I would say, the other helpful thing is for my husband, he like religiously uses the planner. I swear he is like my number one customer, and he uses it to such an extent. And that's been helpful to us because we have like better conversations now with each other because we have to be on point every day and during our week to get our stuff done and operate our businesses. So we've been having better conversations, like what do we need from one another, bouncing ideas off of each other, like what is really the most important thing to do this week and things like that.
Speaking of renovations, I just had a contractor show up and I have to step away for a second. But I have so many questions. Don't get this one before I come back. But what I want you to think about is there a way to be at your peak performance during times of crazy uncertainty like we're in right now? Like I feel like we've just accepted this, like, okay, well, I'm not going to be the best version of me because there's so much uncertainty. So don't answer that. Yeah.
So we're just going to stare at each other?
No.
Think about it.
Other fun things.
No, well, I have a question actually.
Yeah.
So, you were saying that that you plan out 50% of your time. So the other 50%, what does that look like? Is that just open for whatever happens, or how does that look for you?
Right now, I'm using it. It's just open. I'm assuming that I'm somehow going to need it or use it, but I'm going to have to give myself that flex to be able to react to things that have come up or a task that takes a lot longer than normal because my kids have interrupted or something like that. So it's just open time. And then if for some reason I can use that time, then I go back to my brain dump and I try to like pull something from there that feels good to me in the moment to get done.
I love everything that you just said. I feel like you're my spirit animal. Because Becca introduced me to something called the 12-week year that really, really ramped up my business, ramped up my way of thinking, ramped up my goal setting. And then I also do the one thing, and I do time blocking. So between all of those things, do you hear the young guy? Between all those things, I feel like everything that you've just said is exactly what I do, but I'm going to have to step away now because my contractor is calling. I'll be right back.
No worries. Yeah, your contractor.
So, I mean, what happens with me then is like you're saying, all of a sudden a bomb goes off in your day and there's so much to get done and so much to control that's like, oh no.
Well, that's another good thing on why you want to leave some space in a day. Because if something blows up one day, right, like we should not expect a perfect day, a perfect life. It's just not that's not productive in itself, right? Because it leads to a lot of unproductive anxiety or stress or whatever that we're kind of like choosing. So when you leave those open spaces in your day and then something blows up,
Right.
you know you've got a few hours tomorrow to shift and figure it all out. So.
Yeah, because like what ends up happening for me is I just get really angry. Like, again, I think I was talking to you, Melissa, about that.
Yeah.
Like all of it, like I feel like I have all this anger, like I'm not angry.
We have anger issues.
I know. But then when I get stressed out, like I just like, oh. So it's such a good thing to be aware of. It's just like, what if it's just as simple as like you're saying, like just only book 50% of your day. Don't book meetings every hour. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And, look at it like, don't look at it like, oh my gosh, I'm not going to get as much done. Look at it like I'm setting myself up to be really successful. So I'm going to be like a disciplined leader of myself in order to do that. So, because that's what you would teach your team members to do, right? Like if you were this amazing boss and had this huge team, like you would be showing them and teaching them ways that make them better. And having a stressed employee or team member is not the way. So,
Can I just repeat that? Because that was like so much gold. You just said, I'm setting myself up to be really successful and showing them that I'm a disciplined leader of my life.
Yeah. Yeah.
But, yeah. I agree with that in theory, but then I just go and overschedule everything.
You have to think of yourself as not yourself. You have to be like outside of yourself and be like, okay, how would I really behave? Like, what is the right way to be and lead my company, right? It's not like, I don't know. You have to kind of be on the outside looking in. Yeah. And say, okay, who do I want myself to be here? That's we do a lot of teaching on behaviors and mindset that makes us productive or unproductive. And that's one of the tips is that if you're unable to get yourself out of your own reactions or behaviors that are like not helpful to you right now, we encourage you to do my tip is called, what would Joan do? And
Joan of Arc?
No, her name's Joan Campbell, actually. She was this executive consultant I used to work with, and she was just a bulldog. Like she was just phenomenal at her job. Anything could come her way that was like totally crazy or crazy request from her time. And she was just cool as could be. She always had it together. And I was like, in my early 20s and like stressed to the max and frazzled and couldn't figure out the professional way to respond. And I thought, wow, I really exhibited a lot of like unproductive, unhelpful behaviors because I didn't know a better way. So what I started doing was saying, well, what would Joan do? And it got me out of like my own issues and my own natural like response. And it made me become logical. So like, let's say I get an email and it just fires me up and I like want to respond, like smoke's coming off of my fingers when I'm typing. And I would be like, pause, stop. What would Joan do? Joan would take a minute and she would like sleep it off or whatever. And she would react the next day and she would respond in a really thoughtful way. So it's like, it started curbing some of those things that I couldn't figure out on my own. So that might be something like, who do you really admire and just think is amazing, and start saying to yourself, well, what would they do? And then you start making a habit out of these new behaviors. So
I was trying to articulate this week, and Nina, I feel like you've probably put a lot more thought into this. Maybe you can help me say it in the right way, but I just ended this 14 days of like behind the scenes of 7-figure flipping and talking about my life. And the one thing I realized is I talked to maybe like 12 people over a 2-day period, all entrepreneurs, and all of them are in this angry headspace, stressed out. And I started asking them what their calendars looked like. And I looked at my calendar, right, when I was in the angry headspace, and it was like packed. And I kind of had this epiphany that I can't communicate well, which is like, being entrepreneurs, we will always have another thing to do, right? So it doesn't matter if we're at 100% capacity or at 75% capacity. We will never feel like we're doing enough. So why not just give yourself those down times? Because you're never going to be enough. Like, this is the wrong way to say it, but like, it's never going to be good enough. So at least give yourself some mental health breaks so that you're not angry all the time.
Yeah.
That was a terrible way of explaining it, but
no, that's 100% accurate. If I get to a point of being extremely overwhelmed and I'm just like a terror around my house, then, and to your point, like just angry, like I'm just mad at the world and mad at everything. That's like, I mean, hopefully I would have detected it a little bit before then, but usually I don't. So when I get to that point, I will clear my entire calendar. I'll say no to every meeting. I'll reschedule every meeting. And you know what? 99% of the time it's possible and people understand. Like, hey, I'm a hot mess. I need a break. Can we reschedule?
You really do that? I challenged people to clear 5 things off of their calendar and we couldn't even do that. You clear an entire day?
I'll multiple
what
days.
Would Nina do?
Multiple days. Listen, I know, like, if I'm not good, my business isn't good, my health isn't good, my family isn't good, my relationships aren't good. And those are all really important, healthy things that make me be more productive. You know, like when those things are right in your life, you can operate at your peak. So I'll clear several things. I also, on Mondays, I block off for both my husband and myself. We block off the entire morning on Mondays, and it says on there, no meetings or commitments. So we start the day being able to like ease into it and get our plan together and get focused and get things right before we're like bombarded with reacting.
That makes so much sense.
Yeah, it feels really good because before, you know, for years I would just pack my calendar with meetings upon meetings upon meetings, and it was like, man, Mondays feel awful. So I just said I'm not taking meetings on Monday through, you know, like 1 p.m. or something. So.
Oh, I want to go look at my calendar now. Block it off.
Can I X out? Let's see.
Yeah.
You know, the other really important thing, be okay with saying no. Like, be okay with telling somebody, no, I can't pack in another meeting this week. If it has to go out a week or two, then it does. And
okay, well, let's dig into that.
Okay.
Tips for being okay with saying no, because it's easy to say that, like you need to say no more, and then in the face of it, you're like, oh, I could just fit that in. You only need 15 minutes. We can squeeze that in.
Well, I'd ask somebody on the receiving end, because I understand, like, you want to be receptive and resourceful and helpful to people. I get all that, and that's part of being a good leader. But maybe the question back to them is like, you know, just like the categories we have within Boldly is this a priority? Is it urgent? Like, is it stopping you from doing work if you don't have this call with me this week? Is it, you know, just something we've got to get to? And they'll probably give you the answer that you want to hear. The answer is probably that it's not that important. So, yeah. You know, you have to remember, like, you're the leader of your own schedule. I think we fall into this trap. I certainly have for many, many years where, like, I just took on whatever anyone else needed from me, but I wasn't saying like what I needed. Mm-hmm. And it just led to like really unhealthy habits. So,
and what it does too is it perpetuates that, right? Because then everybody comes to you for everything all the time because you never say no, and like you always like beast mode through it. You know, like, if I need something done, I'm going to her because she'll do it. You know? Yeah.
I always think too, you know, like what are other like major bosses out there doing? You know, like, do I think of Bill Gates as accepting every meeting or responding within the minute? Or no, he's being really selective. You know, like I'm just trying to think of like big leaders where you're like, who wouldn't be behaving this way? So I want to emulate some of that. So.
And then you feel guilty about doing the things that are just like life-giving. Like I was joking, but before this, that I have a one-on-one call with Bill once a week, scheduled for an hour. It usually goes longer, and usually a half hour of it is just chatting about life. But to me, that's really important. Like, I'm a relationship person, right? So connectivity is super important. but it feels like we're wasting time. Like there's other things that have to be done. And I don't know, I'm just trying to reprogram my brain. I feel like it's.
I think you just have to differentiate between what's unnecessary chit chat, what's drama, and then what's really meaningful in the relationship zone. Because we do teach about part of, I don't want to, it's like there's a lot of science that I go into in one of these bold behaviors, but one of them is about giving yourself time to heal from a stress response that's accumulating like all the time in our lives. And part of healing that physically makes your body and brain healthier is having special relationships. So, you just have to differentiate like who gives me energy in my life, spending time on those things, not all the time in the world, but a little bit of time each week on those things is actually really important.
And I also think to what you said, Becca, about talking with Bill, I think that's where like those in-between parts is where you guys get your best ideas. Like when you're doing the chit-chatting, when you're just letting your brain kind of rest. I mean, that's how this was formed. I was chit-chatting with Melissa. And I was like, Melissa, I've had this idea for a while. What do you think about it? And boom, all of a sudden, this thing that was in my head we've been doing it for a few weeks now, and it's been amazing. But it started off because I was like, I haven't talked to Melissa for a while. Let's chit chat. So sometimes like those, like what you're saying, Nina, like schedule in those downtimes because that's when you have your creative moments. I think Jason and I were just talking about that in our other podcast. Like we're always busy doing things, looking at screens and trying to like get it done, get all the things on the list done. But it's those times when we're just like, hey, Becca, how are you doing?
Yeah. I honestly I feel like when I take that moment to say, how you doing? Like, it's almost like a talk.
Yeah.
Like, how are you doing?
Life worthwhile, right? Like, why are we working so hard? And with the people that we're working with, like, I love the fact that I love my team, right? Like people who are on my team are people that I genuinely like as humans and like to talk and be friends with. Like obviously there are some boundaries, but like who are we on the bus with? Like we might as well have a good relationship with them or else it feels like crap, Life's too short.
Yeah. When I was in the corporate world, I had a boss, her name was Noelle. We were a rock star team. We went from 25 people to 130 people in 2 years. We dropped our attrition from 22% to 4%. I mean, like we just rocked this 2 years in this company that we were growing. And I honestly can tell you that probably 50% of our conversations over those couple of years had nothing to do with business. They all had to do with like being there for each other, supporting one another, having a great friendship. But then it made it really easy to work with each other and trust one another. If she asks anything of me, I'm there for it. And vice versa. It made our work together more productive, probably. Awesome.
I totally agree with that.
With everything that we've been talking about, Nina, how does your program, how can it help mamas that are on this path, that have all the things, that are trying to organize their lives? Or maybe they do have an organizational system, but how can your program, how can Boldly & Co. actually help us?
Well, we do two things, I should say. So we do coaching on tactics for productivity, like how do you make an immediate shift in productivity starting tomorrow, right, or today? And that comes in like how we teach our daily planning and weekly planning. We teach behaviors that we kind of touched on a few of those here, and mindset and things like that. But we also do a piece that comes actually before all of this. So if you're a business owner or entrepreneur or a leader, we do visioning, and we do goal setting, and we do milestones and project planning. Because to me, when you implement things in your daily plan, you have to know what came before that. Like you have to know where you're going and you have to feel amazing about where you're going. So we do a lot of that stuff. I would say it would be like a lighter version of Traction or EOS. It's a way more fun version, but it's we do that. So it's like for businesses, we do this planning side and visioning, and then we move into daily and weekly planning. So yeah, I think in either case, whether it's the micro level, a day, or the macro level, you're looking 10 years out for your life or for your business. Like you have to have a plan.
Yeah.
It has to be something that's exciting, because what's the point? It's not exciting.
So what about people that struggle with structure? Like I know for me, I've tried time blocking and that does not work for me at all. I can't stand having, you're going to do this from 9 to 10 and then I need to do this from 12 to 1. And like, how does that work for people like me that don't like structure?
Can I tell you what? Funny enough, I don't either. I love the idea of structure, but in the actual day, I'm like, I don't even want to tell myself what to do. Like, don't tell me what to do. And even myself, don't tell me what to do. But what I do a lot in my days is I will do my brain dump for my week. So it's like, I know what I've got to be doing. And then what I do is I only plug in my priorities to my day, or like my things that I know I really don't want to do, but should, like exercise or meal prep or something, but I like know that they're good for me and my productivity. Then all the other things in my brain dump, what I do is I plug them in the day of. So that gives me flexibility to be like, okay, I woke up and I'm in this kind of mood, or I have this kind of energy, or something happened with the babysitter and the kids are home all day, right? So it's like, I give myself that flexibility to say, I'm going to pick and choose what's left on my brain dump and do that when it feels right to me. So that might be helpful. I know my husband, what he does is he'll fill in, like half of his day, and then he'll leave like 2-hour chunks each day to fill those things in. So that might be helpful.
Yeah, that'll be interesting, because I think I'm a big brain dump person too. I love doing that sort of thing, but I find sometimes like I brain dump to the point where I'm like, oh my God, like it's like real overwhelming, because then I look, I'm like, whoa, I just filled up an entire sheet of paper with stuff I need to do. And it's not always, and I guess maybe to your point, like I need to probably figure out what are the important things and what are not, but there's like so much in my head all the time. And when I put it out on paper, it just gives me this overwhelming anxiety at first, like, geez, that's a lot of crap.
Maybe with your brain dump, there's a couple things that I would suggest. The first is try to organize it by like weekly chunks, so that the list as a whole doesn't become overwhelming. You're like, oh my gosh, I have 700 things on this list. Okay, well, not everything's going to get done in a week. So at least try to block it in, off to say, okay, well, these ones would come first, these ones would come second. And then the other thing that I would suggest is just be really clear each week, like what really is a priority? What do you really have to get done? And then maybe just try to figure those things out for yourself. And the rest you can pick and choose and react to. But the problem that we all get into is we just choose the easy tasks first. Mm-hmm. And then we're like, and again, I did not get to this priority. So,
Do we have, Peely, like a few minutes that I can go back to my question?
Yes, we have. I mean, it's 1:44. We can go, you know what? We can be here as long as we want to. But we might be started. We're going to I might have to cut off.
I want to come back to this idea of because I think all of us here pride ourselves on being peak performers at whatever it is that we do. And I feel like these past couple of months for anybody who's like that type A personality have been, this uncertainty makes it hard to plan. We're all planners and we're problem solvers. And we're trying to be flexible and go with the flow, but it's like it almost feels like stop, start. And for me, I'm watching The Last Dance right now with Michael Jordan, right? And there's no doubt, like he's a top performer. He's super focused. I'm not going to do other things. Basketball is my thing, right? But here we can't just do that. We can't just get into one focus. And I think because of that, there's this like thought that we can't be at peak performance. I would say, do you believe that's true? Or do you think even in this times of uncertainty, Nina, especially for yourself, you mentioned it, right? Like you're scheduling your calendar 50% less or 25% less, right? 75% down to 50% booked, which makes it seem like, well, you're not getting done 25% as much, but is it possible to be just as effective at 50%?
Yeah, because yeah, it is. Because what I'm starting to do is I've become so selective at what I'm working on within a week that I'm actually getting that bigger strategic stuff done. I would have been able to, I would have normally spaced out over the course of a year or so many months or something. I'm like, listen, I got to take this opportunity and do it now. So I actually think I'm becoming a better leader because I'm choosing to work on the harder stuff and not all the little stuff. And that's also forced me to say, all right, I really need to make use of the assistant that we work with and, come up with better systems and make sure that I'm not working on some of that little stuff anymore. So that's kind of been it for me. But I will say it's been a constant, every day. It's like a reminder to myself. Okay, be okay with not doing what you think you can do today or what you would want to do today, in kind of normal life. So I wish I could say like, hey, it's so possible to be at my peak right now. I don't know that that's true, but I also haven't spent too much time thinking about it.
Well, this is a perfect time to plug because we're having our Flip Hacking Live conference in October, 15th through 17th. It's going to be tons of amazing content for real estate investors. And Nina is actually going to be speaking. She's going to be one of our featured speakers. So people buy tickets to Flip Hacking Live and come hear Nina really teach you how to do it. And Nina, maybe you can, between now and then, unlock this peak performance at 50%.
Where do people go to buy tickets?
FlipHackingLive.com.
Awesome. And when was it again?
I don't know if I can drop it in the comments, but
drop it in the comments.
I can't.
Drop it in the comments after we go bye-bye.
Yes. All right.
I did want to say one thing. If you guys want to join me on this challenge, because I do time block, and to your point, Melissa, I actually don't really like time blocking. I use my time blocking calendar as like an opinion or a suggestion. This is where I'm supposed to be in my day. And then if I miss something, I can go back to my calendar and say, oh, that's why I missed it, because I didn't follow the calendar. So I kind of do that, but I need a refresh on my calendar. So I'm actually going to purchase your calendar, Nina.
Yeah.
I'm looking for an accountability partner for my 2 time blocks each week. So like I used to have one and she couldn't do it this time. Wednesday and Thursday morning, 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. is when I'm doing them, but I can be flexible so long as they're in the morning. So let's be partners.
Let's figure this out. And then I want to have, I don't know if you guys want to join me on this. I want to actually use it and have Nina come back.
Wait, what?
I want to say something about this. Okay. So sorry, I know we're like at time here, but one of the biggest mistakes that people make is that they plug their lists into their calendar. Like, oh, I'm going to put this task here in my calendar, like your electronic calendar. The issue with that is it's just so easy to move, isn't it? Like, oh, I didn't get to that. I'll just move it to the next day and the next day. When you write it down, you are like making a physical commitment to it. I have found I'm not perfect at it, but I will say I'm far more likely to do a task when I physically wrote it down. It's like, have you ever heard the study that like, when you write a goal down, you're like 50% more likely or 7% more likely to achieve it? You're literally like writing a goal down every single day in that planner. So think of it like that. Like this is just your little daily goal.
I love it. So yes, Peely, I'm in with this. Oh, you did it. Yay.
I love this system.
Technology.
So, www.fliphackinglive.com. Buy your tickets and come see Nina. What day is Flip Hacking again?
October 15th to the 17th. It's virtual. You don't have to buy a plane ticket or hotel rooms, but it's going to be epic. And there's going to be a very fun swag box for people who buy their tickets soon enough. Which I think September 5th might be the cutoff.
Okay, buy your tickets before September 5th. Stephanie, how are you doing today? Give us a quick 3 minutes and then send us out.
Oh my goodness. This week, my kids started school. So on Monday, they had in-person, education like traditional. And then the rest has been all virtual. So my week's a little bit upside down. Nobody really knew what to expect, how this was going to go. And I have 3 cats in my house that are basically just trying to like keep in front of their stuff. So it's been a struggle. I'm not going to lie. It's hard. It's really, really hard. But we feel we're getting a little more the hang of it as time goes on. But I'm really excited for Monday when they go back to school. And I guess not because I don't love my children, but they just get what they deserve. Like I just feel like I'm just not good enough. But I'm trying. I am trying my best to juggle everything, but it's not easy. That's basically where I am. I'm just in homeschooling chaos.
I don't know. I feel like next week we might need to revisit the mental health with all the kids going back to school and how are we doing?
That's right. But this is my favorite part of the week, and I'm just so grateful to meet up with you guys. And thank you so much, Nina, for coming and talking about productivity, because I think it's just so timely with everything going on, especially with, managing homeschooling now, which, most moms are dealing with. I know some people in the Northeast are not, have kids full-time in homeschooling, but most of us are. So I really appreciate your insights there. And I always learn something from you.
Thank you.
And until next week.
Bye, guys. We love you.